Well, we are at the home of the reigning premiers, the West Coast Fever, right here at ROC Arena. Another terrific crowd in for their second home game of the season, right here on Wajactunga land, as they take on the Collingwood Magpies. And the team's now coming out onto court. Verity Simmons in the middle, and there's the lady we spoke to in our pre-game, Jess Anstis, the match-winning intercept for the Fever against the Giants last week. Straight into the Woolworths lineups, Maddie. No changes.
No, and I think that's so exciting to see, you know, that some of these combinations on court have played for a couple of years now. They've had success. They're true and tested, as we've spoken about. So it's great to see them starting strong. Both teams have won their first quarters in both rounds 1 and 2, scoring above 17 or more. So expect to see some strong power to start these games. Some really good contests and matchups all over the court. So can't wait for this contest to get underway.
Well, the woes of last week for the Magpies, now the smiles on the face of Shimona Nelson. They are here and they are ready to prove a point that they can win in Western Australia. The hand of the ball with Molly Jovic to get the Magpies underway to your right of screen. It is our Sunday opening game with a double-header coming your way. Maddie Brown joining me as our expert commentator, Josie Jans-Dawson on the sideline. Garvin, the West Australian, hasn't played for the Fever, but the Swifts and the Magpies, and a confident start from her to get the Magpies first on the board. So a fumble from Teague Neal. And this is what the Magpies will want, is a quick start and a confident start. Garvin.
Contact, outside, advantage offside.
Thinks about the swing. Contact on Courtney Bruce. Maddie, interesting to watch how the defensive tactics for the Fever start, knowing the strength of Shimona Nelson.
Absolutely, and they even obviously addressed it when we spoke to Jess Anstis, being shut down the playmaker in Brown. It's going to be one-on-one tight, shutting down your player, but then we can work as a defensive unit. The little one goes astray there by Nelson.
Oh, hand from Bruce over the back though, and the crumbs to Anstis. So the captain for the West Coast Fever, Courtney Bruce, getting in amongst it early. Wonder whether that'll give something for the Magpies feeders to think about.
We know when she injects herself in early, that's when she's up and about, and it just even ripples through the rest of the Fever team. So great to see her get that tip nice and early.
And a couple of minutes before the Fever get their first goal. Harvey Norman replay.
A little bit on the hand there, but that's okay. You've got to be strong. You've got to go up with 2 hands. Nelson's usually up with 2.
Fever into attack backwards to set the play. Teague Neal. Oh, blistering pass finds Glasgow. And a confidence from Sasha Glasgow early as well.
Here on the Fever defensive, you see that double on Brown to try and shut down, but they've got to get back onto Jovic because she can dominate in that goal circle on the feed as well.
The Fever drop 2-on-1 Nelson. So Garvin to do the work. Contact. Simmons, a couple of contacts early for West Coast Fever around the circle edge. Sophie Garvin, one early, another one to follow, drops out, the rebound to Bruce. Well, wayward ball, Simmons, oh my goodness, home alone, Verity Simmons. Oh gee, that went from a messy moment to something very special. Verity Simmons to Fowler.
I know, it's like she had time and space in the air just to compose herself, look long, spotted her right in the post. If you look at the Harvey Norman replay, so long, standing there. Mentor was out flying, she made her pay.
Well, the connection again, Simmons to Fowler, 2 in a row for those two. Good mates off the court and returning on the court for the Fever. Brown, lovely high release, second phase into Garvin. Held up.
They're a little bit hesitant on that feed to let the ball go to Nelson. We've seen it just fly in there over the last couple of rounds.
Is that respect to the defence?
Yeah, I do. I think it's the footwork that and the just like elusiveness that obviously Bruce and Ariang are putting in there, putting that down. Or maybe it's just consolidating after one miss and going again.
Ward, so keep your eye on that lady. Absolutely MVP form at the moment, Jodie-Ann Ward. Glasgow left alone, the 2-on-1 again. So the defensive tactics at both ends of the court mirroring each other. Oh, gee, big contest, the two Magpies. And sitting right in the middle of that nest was Fowler, and she gets the goal. So the Fever leading by 2 in this opening quarter of our round 3 Super Sunday clash. Maddie.
Yes, it was that miscommunication. Obviously, she went to ball, but actually released it, Garvin. Brown looking to go up and then try and get down a little bit more depth. But Anstis getting that tip early.
No waving from Jess Anstis in that moment. We thought she might have looked over to us. After a big moment, take a look. Harvey Norman replay.
That change of direction and just following those feet through to take that nice intercept cleanly.
So the Magpies need to find a way here to respond. Fever a couple in a row, ball in hand now. Loose ball, Simmons again. Oh, she's had some Weet-Bix for breakfast, hasn't she?
She's got hops for days there and a really nice feed. It's that calmness when it gets a little bit messy to just control it, go back to the processes as we spoke about. Get it nice and close to the post.
Fowler continues her accuracy at the post, yet to miss a goal so far this season. And one more feed from Verity Simmons puts her at 2,800 feeds in her career. Nice little milestone.
You mentioned both defensive units trying to force those attackers wide into the pockets to try and lift that ball and get those intercepts. Really good work there by the Fever defensive unit.
Glasgow held up, saw Mentor hunting, so the Fever now the patience in attack. Teague Neal. Fowler thinks about the swing backwards. Good defence, the Magpies held up. Puts Glasgow though in her range. And look at the protection from Jiva Mentor. Well, gets a little hand to it, and here go the Magpies into attack. Jovic, Garvin, front space, quick offload, Nelson, the hand from Bruce. So again, defence getting in amongst it at both ends of the court.
You'd expect a timeout maybe here by the Magpies.
I think you're on cue there. That was the hand from Bruce, Maddie. And Jiva Mentor had just done a similar thing down the other end. So we get our first HCF tactical timeout. You called it on cue. It'll be with the Collingwood Magpies. The scoreline sitting at 8-3. Plenty of opportunities, just no conversion.
Okay, just make sure we've got 1-2 on the backup on second phase if it's not there to punch. Our 1-2's going well. We can't have two middies in pocket and pocket, yeah? So we can swing it where we can go pocket to top. That'll change the angle completely. We need to take courts right out of it. So the ball at the moment, so Shimmy, really connect there, flatten the ball, and it's nearly a pass chest high where Shimmy's going there, not even there. They're allowing courts to come over the top. Completely change the angle a little bit, yeah? Or play around with a decoy every now and then. You come out on extension, and Sophie, you get in and hold as well. Okay, we'll see how this goes. If not, we'll make a change.
We got to feel for it, be patient in attack. The transition's killing us, like pick up better. Rise on hard. Good work.
Well, I have to say, one of the great things about getting inside the huddle, and what a privilege it is to have the microphone and the cameras there, is to hear the words of the coach, and they're so clear. There was clarity in Richardson's comments there, but what I was interested in, if it doesn't work, let's make a change. They haven't had to make a change so far this season, Matt.
No, they haven't, and I think she wants those players out on court to make those changes to start, and then if she needs to inject an impact player, she hopefully has it on the bench to do. As we see a great tip there by Jiva Mentor, kind of replicating what Bruce is doing down the other end, that moving of the feet and having a little bit of contest of that high ball coming in.
So Jiva Mentor getting in amongst it early. Let's get down to our sideliner in Josie Jans Dawson. A blistering start for the Fever, Jose.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'd think that given the scoreline that Dan Ryan would just be talking through processes, but obviously West Coast Fever have their own set goals, and there was a lot of focus on the tempo. I suppose there was some really high intensity takes that were rebounds and intercepts that were being taken in that first period of time, and just asking for the players to remain calm get the ball to circle edge and feed the ball off, as we see Shimona Nelson take another shot to post.
So an impressive response out of the tactical timeout for the Pies. Nelson, strong take. So 2 in a row for them. And all of a sudden that scoreline comes back to something a little bit more respectable. But very early in the game, and Jodie Ann Ward, first ball contest. Courtney Bruce diving on the ball. You can't release the ball when you're on the ground, Mads. So the Magpies will get it.
That first ball contest by Ward, absolutely what they needed. Running her feet on, backing it up, and then Nelson kind of putting her body on the line as well.
Well, that's interesting. In the face of Shimona Nelson says it all. Complete confusion, doesn't believe the umpire's call. And we'll probably take a look at it in just a minute. There's your reflection from Jodie Ann Ward. But in the meantime, the fever of transition ball off a questioning moment at the back. We can't even tell you what the call is. It was 9-5 the score. We'll come back to you. Shooting stats, 8 apiece. 8 all, should I say, for Fowler.
This is what Coach Richardson said, get out of the pockets to those middies as we see Brown come around to the top. She wants to see those angles, those triangles. Let the ball do the movement, change those angles in, and keep it nice and low to those the goalers.
6.5 minutes on the clock. We'll hit our power 5. The last 5 minutes of the quarter. Simmons, wayward ball, good contest from Jovic. Good little battle unfolding between the two centre courts. Both could run for days. Oh, Fowler! Oh, gee, every shooter loves a stat.
Unfortunately, those big feet were out of court. She didn't get it quite away with that one.
Size 13s, I believe. That is clever, Mr. Cameraman.
Thank you.
Good take, Garvin. Looks down, has to go to Brazel. Brazel's eyes will light up surely somewhere. Right in front of her, Jovic. So Bruce, the battle in the circle. Terrific high release, though, from Kelsey Brown.
That was better by Garvin. She was hanging out of the circle, leaving that one-on-one contest rather than getting in there too early and crowding the feeders, obviously sight of Nelson as well.
Shimona Nelson just 3 straight from her. So Garvin having to do a bit of work. This is a chance to go number 4. Garvin sitting at 3 from 4. Well, Garvin will take the penalty here. Nelson on rebound duties. And so a good return from the Magpies, a little settling coaching moment from Nicole Richardson, and they find themselves back to within 1. The Fever, well, they've let go of a 5-goal lead. And another moment, Jiva Mentor, I'll tell you, we say usually she takes time to warm up, but that lady there is in amongst the defensive stats early. And the power 5 goes. Fever over the tall lean of Jiva Mentor. And have a look at this.
She came out flying, just that little tap, but it was a chase up by Fever, and that's what Magpies need to do. They need to pounce on those loose balls to make sure they come up with it and give themselves another opportunity to score.
Every team prides themselves on the loose ball gets.
Step forward, in the 1.
So Courtney Bruce, the contact. An offload and the 1 for the Magpies. Keeping this game exactly as we expected, goal for goal.
Both teams love to dominate the first 10 minutes in the 1-point zone. And when it comes to this, they'll only really take the 2-point power shot if it's necessary. So I expect that both teams will chip away at the 1, and unless they find themselves in need of putting extra scoreboard pressure on,
well, let's
will
see
they
what does Glasgow choose to do. Confidence early, says Sasha Glasgow, straight to the post and scores herself the Suncorp super shot. 5 from 7 she took last week against the Giants in that big game. And Anstis comes flying through again. So 2 centre pass disruptions from Jess Anstis.
It was the hands over pressure from, Alice Teague-Neal, just threading the needle. Love that from a wing attack. She sighted it, she saw it, eyes were down and just let it go.
There you go, the Nissan net points, your match leaders. Fowler sitting at the top, but it's a very close race, isn't it? Anstis flying in a 27. Jess Anstis in the Nissan Net Points Team of the Week last week, so maybe a good start for her.
I mean, we've seen it was back to 1 point, and now we're sitting back out at 5. It just shows how quickly the Fever can put that scoreboard on.
Well, this lady's at 75% from this range, and it falls short. Ariang the rebound, but what you love about that, Magpies fans, is that she's got the confidence to go to the post early. And you hope that doesn't stop the thinking as they move forward. In the meantime, through court for the Fever, Teague Neal. Good contest from Ward on Glasgow. Oh, gee.
It's one thing that Fowler can do. She can make any feed look really good.
Would you love that? You were
I wish.
You had pinpoint perfection, though. You don't need Fowler.
Interesting to see, obviously, the Magpies defence shutting down that 2-point option with Glasgow. Happy to concede the 1 point.
And Fowler's happy to take it, Janelle Fowler. Now, with 12 goals to her name straight. Razzle contest on Simmons. Great mates off the court. And another goal for the West Coast Fever. So, some big momentum swings in this opening 15 minutes. 2 minutes to unfold. No tactical timeouts yet for West Coast. Holding inside the circle. This is a long bomb if it goes, surely. Oh, gee. Garvin, straight away you see the hands to the head, Maddie.
Yeah, I know. I think she was just like, I'm a little bit too far out. There's the 2-point zone right close to the edge, and there's that further out. Maybe a little bit of a 1 point. Get that centre pass back and then have that 2.
I was going to say, was that the right choice of shot? As Jodie Ann Ward takes another gimme. Wasn't the best of passes from Simmons, but Ward will take the stat, and here go the Magpies again. Garvin, as Bruce comes for the fly. Well, the conversion is needed, and Jodie Ann Ward, another stat to her name. Take a look. Harvey Norman replay, catching it.
Is it an intercept or is it a bad pass?
You know what? If you're a defender, it's called an intercept. Still got to be in vicinity, don't you, to be able to actually get the ball. Ward was there.
Oh, another long attempt. It's that rebounding power of Fowler.
So just under the minute to unfold. The Magpies are winning the opening round. They lost last week to the Vixens. They'll want the win here in Perth today.
Magpies have been struggling to get it over that transverse. Usually they go 1, 2. It's a great shot there by Garvin, but they're really a little bit disconnected. So great pressure by the Fever. They're a little bit hesitant to let it go. So a bit more early prep for the Magpies, I think, would do them wonders on the centre pass.
Glasgow, nice high release. Fowler in super shot territory, not interested. She'll take Fowler territory. That's what that's called. Real estate, right under the post. So a last centre pass play here, surely, with just the 11 seconds on the clock. Quick to score, great grab by Nelson. And some confidence from the pass in Brown to that lady. And there you go. So a big run for the West Coast Fever as they set up this quarter-time lead against the Magpies here in Perth. It is 18-13 to the West Coast Fever.
This quarter round brought to you by Magpies.
Just collectively there, right? We need to get our centre pass conversion up. We had 9 lost possessions. That's in our control, the majority of them. We just need to tidy that up, make sure we've got all hands on deck, right? So we're still going to go better when you vary. So if we can work you getting first phase a little bit more, Sunday's dropping in to make it 2-on-1, yeah? So if we can get maybe mix it up, keep getting you on first, you hit second, and then we can ISO in a 1-on-1. All the balls Courtney's getting is coming from behind. You've either got to hold around harder and stronger, or as soon as you feel the slip, then you've got to pop forward for it, and the ball's just got to be placed out in front. I don't think our first and second phase is an issue. Yeah, it's the feed into the circle. Yeah.
Well, that is a quarter-time huddle of Nicole Richardson, brought to you by Origin Energy. One of the best, isn't it? Just could listen to her all day. The specificity of what she has to say and the directness to her team is just extraordinary. Our quarter-time score sits with the West Coast Fever leading 18 over the Collingwood Magpies, and plenty for Nicole Richardson's Magpies to shift in this quarter as we get underway. Let's go straight down to Josie Jans-Dawson, whose ear was inside Dan Ryan's huddle.
Oh, amazing insight to hear again from Dan Ryan. I think the cool, calm collectiveness of the team during that quarter break, as we see a miss and a rebound, Magpies, ball in hand. Dan really just focusing on what seemed to be strategy, so the players reinforcing what's doing well, but also what more they can be doing, so the attackers, what pressure you're putting on. Amazing intercept by Sunday Ariang. And then also, I suppose from the defenders, how well they're bringing the ball out of attack. So that second layer of being a netballer and playing more than your position. Yeah,
terrific stuff, Joe. It's great to have you in amongst the action on the other side of the court as Ariang has a moment and then gets involved in this passage of play through court. So the Fever showing unbelievable patience here, aren't they? They want a conversion. It's impressive defence from the Magpies, though. Who wins the battle, you know?
It is, but it just grinds you down when they've got that patience, as you said, to go back, go again. And if they score off this Magpies, you think, gosh, we've played that hard one-on-one. How are we ever going to get this ball back?
There's Dan Ryan, the head coach of the West Coast Fever, always up in the coach's box, very animated. Sophie Garvin. So again, this is a similar approach. We're forced backwards defensively. And contact on Teague Neal. So Brown down the line to Jovic. And then a wayward bounce off the shins of Garvin. It lands with her though. So just doesn't look as confident or fluent as it has in the opening 2 rounds for the Magpies.
It is, and I would love to see them a little bit smarter with the ball in hand, using the balks, using the fakes, getting the defenders off that contesting body. They're just letting it go and not running their feet onto it hard enough.
Well, Glasgow wasn't ready for the quick offload from Simmons and has a decent clash with Jodie Ann Ward. So the court will get a little bit of housekeeping. There it is. So 19-14, here's your moment. Harvey Norman replay.
Both players' eyes on the ball.
I was going to ask, as a wing attack though, Simmons probably should have just waited for Glasgow to enter, or do you think Glasgow should have been ready for that ball?
I actually think, as I said, a ball would have been great, and then even a flip and a change of the angle by Glasgow to face the baseline, and that's where the feed was probably coming with Jodie Ann Ward entering from the top.
Love it. Back into play we go. Ash Brazel has to go backwards. She's looking down. We've got perfect sight of what she was seeing, and there was nothing on offer.
Magpies looking down court, and all they're seeing is this green army just blocking every bit of space. We heard Richardson talk about that high pass. She wants Nelson to hold either stronger, harder, or even pop back to come forward. We haven't seen Nelson execute that. It'd be great to see that little changer.
Oh, Garvin. Well, that should have been her breakfast, lunch and dinner, but it wasn't any of them. And it could just be supper here for the West Coast Fever as Simmons, well, a late challenge from Brown, but it's allowed to go. So the Fever land with the ball. There's Simmons again. And that little step on, she's got, you called it the hops before. I'm going to go with it. The West Coast Fever transition through.
Yeah, really bad miss there by Garvin on the Harvey Norman replay. You just need to consolidate when you get those close ones.
Well, a quick shooter to shooter to shooter is Fowler and Glasgow. And the West Coast Fever, well, that was about to be the first miss for Fowler, which would have been terrible for her, but instead it's a penalty. So her accuracy continues. Still hasn't missed a goal in season 2023, Janelle Fowler.
We've seen the first change for Magpies all season. Cully Singleton coming on for Garvin in that goal attack position. I'm assuming she wants a little bit more movement out the front as we see Singleton trying to draw that defender out of the space and isolate, obviously, Nelson and Bruce under the post.
This is a move that needs to be made. Now what happens? Garvin goes to the bench. She gets her head back in gear and puts a goal shooter bib on maybe.
We can actually obviously see her standing there talking to the coaches with a goal shooter bib on. So maybe, as we said, that change isn't so much of her at goal attack. It's Nelson coming out and coming off and having a different option on that hold.
Well, you can tell by that shot just on screen that her work rate's been right up. She was dripping wasn't she? So we may just see the change. Courtney Bruce probably the better of Nelson at the moment. Does Singleton bring Nelson alive? We wait and see. There's the last 10. It's a little bit West Coast fever, isn't it?
That's a great feed by Brown, starting it nice and early.
Oh, Bruce, the rejection. So if ever you wanted to get into the sub's head, it's to reject a shot. And straight away, the fever in transition. Fowler steps in, has a red-hot look at the palm of Jiva Mentor.
She stepped in, Mentor saying, but she moved into my body.
And so the fever convert. Look at this. Harvey Norman rejection, I'm going to call it. Let's get down to Josie Jans Dawson. Josie, we talked with you in the pre-game, Shimona Nelson and her strength. Where's that at the moment?
Yeah, look, there's been a lot of discussion here listening into the Collingwood camp as Sophie Garvin came off and watching Shimona Nelson. Courtney Bruce has really been bodying up and changing her angles. So Shimona's not holding more to the post. She's been going flat towards the baseline. And I don't think Sophie Garvin's really feeling the feed on that one. So looks like there will be a change coming up soon. Sophie's just sat down, but it looked like it was pre-planned that she was going to come off and possibly go into goal shooters. So a moment for Nelson to come off and be spoken to, or for Garvin to really stand. But Mark, as Jess Anstis takes another intercept pick up.
That's the third for Anstis off the centre pass. And Maddie, it's not an easy thing to do.
No, absolutely not. And you see the frustration coming into Brazel there, saying she was holding on or she was tipping around. The difference between both of these teams right now, you see a real unified team game plan from the Fever. Magpies working a little bit in isolation. They need to connect with those people beside them and try and get back into some uniform unit work.
Oh, gee, fingertips. Keeps that ball alive for Janelle Fowler. And look at that smile on the face of Jess Anstis. Well, why wouldn't you? She's sitting on 36.5 Nissa net points with 3 centre pass interruptions. And then you cross-reference that face with that lady there, not thrilled at the moment. It is a HCF tactical timeout, and it's called by the Magpies.
Sophie's going to goal shooter. So be the contest, no easy give and goes. Work first ball, deny second if you can, big strong arms and drive it hard out of D. Yeah? Okay? Just keep playing around with that. I don't understand. She called it against Shimmy in the first quarter. So keep playing around with that. Yep. Brazzy, control. I know, but I know, yeah, I know, but now you're in a different position. Get it all back. Okay, guys, we know this is not who we are, right? So we go back to what we know, we go back to our brand and we put it out there. Forget what the scoreline is, we attack hard on them. Okay, let's go.
Let's go, girls. We cannot change the calls out there, but we can adapt to what we do, all right? Smarter, let's go. Let's go, play for hot. Let's go, girls.
We mentioned it, you want to bring some of these people back together and connecting really strong. She made a few changes, Richardson. We see Brazel go to centre and even 2 debutants come on for the Magpies. Obviously Maddie Hinchliffe and also Callie Singleton in goal attack. They're changing up the defence and they're changing up the attack, and they need to do it, but they need to make sure that they start to put some scoreboard pressure on the Magpies.
Absolutely. 26-15 your scoreline, 8:28 to play out in this second quarter. It is the Fever by 11. Let's get down to Josie Jans Dawson.
Yeah, another great timeout by Dan Ryan. Just love listening to him, but he spent the moment really going to each player, giving them the confidence of things that are working, telling Janelle Fowler, your angles are perfect and fine, keep that going. Great feed by Simmons. But also with the Fever, just ensuring that the attacking play is still driving hard to ensure that Verity Simmons is being able to open up as a second phase option after that centre pass receive.
So a couple of changes for the Magpies. There's one, Singleton on, and Hinchliffe in at wing defence. Can they bring a bit of spark for the Magpies? Well, a shot on the step back from Singleton might just do that. Anstis off the back for the Fever. Strong take by Fowler.
Instruction, control.
Fever just being 1-2 straight in. Magpies having to work a lot harder to get it to that circle edge and get that score on the board.
Well, a chance here to set up with Jess Anstis out of play obstruction. So 2-on-1 outside the circle. Brazel now in the middle. It's Just interesting to hear her getting a bit frustrated in that huddle with Richardson. Not with Nicole Richardson as the coach, but with the way in which things were unfolding.
She was quite emotional last week as well, and it's not something that we're used to seeing creep into her game. But as Coach Richardson said, just calm, just settle. We need you to be that link. We need you to be composed in that attack end now.
Contact. You're forcing on the hip. You're causing the contact. Beside the keeper.
So clear instructions, Jiva Mentor, just begging the question of the umpire as to what the contact was for. She's been told, so she'll need to adjust to avoid that whistle again. Of course, the Magpies last week, 71 penalties, the highest so far this season. Over 60 of them in contacts.
That was much better to post play by the Magpies, and probably because of the difference, because Garvin's coming out of the circle now. We generate a little bit more, moving around, keeping Bruce on her toes, having to not stay so close to the post. Oh.
So a big, strong take by Fowler, and has to go up and high over the hand of Jiva Mentor. Fowler, still 100% accuracy. There's the look at the 5-time MVP of this competition. 26 straight.
Structural wing defence. Advantage offside. Where you are.
Garvin. Of course, we all know what Garvin can deliver in goal shooter. It'll be a ball to the Fever. It reminds me of a game when they played the Swifts, and she came on and really ran home that forward end for the Swifts against Bruce. So she'll have some confidence that she can deliver against the Australian Diamonds goalkeeper. Simmons sights, then goes short, but Glasgow does the job instead. Quick offload.
Magpies really trying hard to shut down that top of the circle and force the attackers of Fever really wide, but Teague Neild and Simmons are really, really smart in working those little give and goes, moving the ball around and getting their shooters as close to the post.
Yeah, terrific combination unfolding, isn't it, between Simmons and Alice Teague Neild. The Fever click over now to the 31 goals, 5 seconds shy of our Power 5 period. And that man, he wants to set up the next 5 minutes of play. Our HCF tactical timeout called by the West Coast Fever.
Period, and you're going into goalkeeper. I want you two guys to really try and flood and clog middle corridor. So with Sophie and Singleton in there, don't worry now about hands over the feed. Let's get really aggressive hedging through middle corridor. And so you two guys sitting high at the top of the circle. And again, if they're going to take a super shot, we are going to monster the shot and pull in the rebound, make them pay. They need super shots, all right? So let's make sure we're really disciplined in that part of the game. But let's clog our middle and be really dynamic in flooding as much as we can, right? From an attacking perspective, where's Sash? Sasha! Let's go aggressive, all right? So get yourself into super shot range. If you feel the rhythm, go for it, right? Monster the rebounds. If you get the rebound, just take the one. And if you get monstered on the shot, you want to offload, you got Jay there. But let's have an aggressive mindset in this period of time, but don't necessarily force it, all right? Back yourselves in on smart choices.
Let's go.
All right, let's go, guys.
Here we go.
Let's go. Okay, big impact in this 5 minutes. Let's finish off this half. Let's go.
1, 2, 3. Let's go. Push on.
Well, it's all about monstering this 5-minute period, and some real license, isn't it, to Sasha Glasgow to go to post if she's feeling it. Rudy Ellis now comes on in at goalkeeper for the West Coast Fever. Of course, they're leading by 13 at the moment. Bruce gets a move out to the goal defence. Let's go to Josie Jans-Dawson. Josie, what happened inside the huddle for the Magpies?
Yeah, Nick Richardson was really focusing on both Garvin and Singleton. Really just making sure the timing of Singleton coming into the circle was matching that of Garvin's coming out. So it seems to be the game plan is Sophie was driving to draw Bruce out and leave a one-on-one. Great super shot there.
Well, she's done just as the coach has asked. If you feel it, go for it. And that's just what Sasha Glasgow's done. As I mentioned earlier, 5 from 7 in super shot territory last week against the Giants. Now for the Magpies to respond. It'll have to go off the hand of Singleton. It was a lovely rock back. It looked on song, but it doesn't drop. And Alice the rebound. So Fever into attack. Teague Neild up high. Simmons driving through. Bruce looking. And, yep, off the ball. Contact wasn't called. And Simmons will have to now get back into defence. Garvin being good, 75% before this game. Oh, the percentage going down. She's got to land this one.
It's the pressure from Bruce. It's really, and it's the elevation on her shot. She's just a little bit falling short. We obviously spoke about it in the pre-show, how confident she's been as Ward. Nearly gets there.
Oh, gee, that was absolute poetry in motion just without the intercept to go. Glasgow out long. She got told, if you feel it, do it.
She said that aggressive mindset, that license to let it go. And if you don't, well, we've also got Jay under the post to rebound.
It's a match made in heaven for the West Coast Fever, isn't it? Glasgow and Fowler. So there's your shooting stats. 3 minutes to unfold in this second quarter. And the Magpies, at this point, only able to put 5 on the scoreboard.
Very, very low for them. It's not what they would have come out here expecting of today. We talked how good their attacking lineup has been, but the shooters just only sitting at 70% compared to 90 for the Fever. And then they're being forced to have to put up these 2-point shots when they're not sinking to just try and stay in the game.
Well, that was smooth, wasn't it? It looked like she found her time, her rhythm, her technique, and it drops for Garvin. A Suncorp super shot brings them back to 15 goals the difference. Still 30 minutes of netball to play. So you never call a game over at half-time unless the lights go out.
Magpies really need to try and get some game ball back, but they're sitting 10 higher in penalties compared to the Fever, so that building of the pressure just isn't coming. It's releasing off, and Fever finding it way too easy to the post.
It's under 2 minutes to unfold. Glasgow plays to Teague Neal. Quick offload, beautifully positioned ball to the attacking side of Fowler. No chance for Mentor. And there's your Nissan net points.
I mean, dominated by the Fever there. Only Brown in the top 5 for the Magpies. No surprise there. As Singleton has a go. It's just her timing. Love to see her just turn and back herself in and shoot on that first second.
Well, she's got the long arms of Rudy Ellis to contend with, and now Garvin's got to contend with Bruce. And the rebound goes the way of the West Coast Fever. So 2 giants in the circle for the Fever, and a wayward ball from the captain of the Fever. So maybe a get-out-of-jail moment for the Magpies. Brown to Singleton out.
Goalkeeper outside the circle. Where you are, being attacked, goalkeeper beside.
Bruce now. She's got 2 super shot threats.
They got one anyway, Gordy.
Doesn't matter.
We saw it.
They got there in the end. Suncorp super shot drops again for the Magpies. Simmons and Teague Neal.
Timing of the multiple options for the Fever as well. They've got one, they've got another, they've got a short, they've got a long option. And the Magpies defence are just constantly turning their heads, not knowing where it's going to go next. It's really one out here in the Magpies attack.
Well, plenty of time, 20 seconds to unfold. Garvin definitely looking. No, she's got to get some score. She's found a bit of confidence. And they quickly get on with it, so switched on the Magpies.
On my whistle. On my goal shooter beside the goalkeeper. On my whistle.
Well, they've called time on the clock here. Rudy Ellis is all confused. Garvin gets on with it, and that's an important goal for the Magpies. Confidence to march on into the halftime break after a tough opening 30 minutes. Whilst they got some scoreline back, they did go down that quarter 19-9. And the West Coast Fever will have their shoulders back at the moment. 37-24, our half-time score. And one of the players that's been marvellous is the captain for the West Coast Fever. And she joins Josie Jans Dawson.
All right, I do have Courtney Bruce here. So, Courts, talk us through. You've had Shimona Nelson, whilst her shooting percentage has still been great, a lot of stifled ball.
Yeah, I really wanted to get in ahead from the start. We know how such of a strong shooter she can be, so trying to get some tips early and I guess shatter her confidence a bit, and I feel like I was able to get onto her.
And you've taken a lot of deflections, intercepts throughout the quarter, but also Jess Ansters, Sunday Ariang leading this. Talk us through the unit that you've had through this quarter.
Yeah, we really wanted to connect after the last 2 weeks. I think we've been a bit quiet out there previously, so today it was all just about bringing energy back in each other in. If someone goes to apply, someone's there to have their back, and it's working really well so far.
Excellent, thanks. Good luck for the second half.
Thanks, Trace.
Some real confidence, isn't it, from Courtney Bruce at the moment. She's enjoying her netball in this first half, getting hand to ball. And, of course, the luxury of Dan Ryan to be able to move her out to goal defence. So a big 30 minutes still to come. We're going to go to our halftime show. The Fever leading 37-24. And then don't forget, you're not allowed to go anywhere because it is a Super Sunday of netball where the Melbourne Vixens will next host the Giants netball in what promises to be an enormous clash at John Cain Arena. That centre pass will be at 4 p.m. right here on Fox Netball. Well, all unfolding here in Perth as Jess Ansters has had a blistering start to this first 30 minutes for the West Coast Fever. Plenty of defensive action, plenty of Courtney Bruce on the ground, but really what it's all boiled down to is an impressive 30 minutes of netball from the reigning premiers. 2-zip so far this season and looking to try and go 3-zip and head to the top of the ladder. Maddie and Josie, not probably what we expected in terms of scoreline at the halfway mark, given we did say both of these teams had similar styles, Mad. So what's unfolding for the Magpies?
Oh, look, as you said, even in that last quarter, they didn't even make double figures on the scoreboard. So, they got that 2-point shot. It's a real disconnect, I think, in their attack end, which I'm sure we'll highlight here. It's that feed. We saw Coach Richardson ask Nelson, I want to see that pop back to come forward. But they're still having to elevate it, and we saw some changes come in, but it's just getting it down. They're only scoring at 50% of their centre pass conversion as well. So when you're getting every second opportunity to score and not making it count, it's just poor choices and not actually working together as a unit.
Joe, you spoke to Courtney Bruce. She was fairly confident with the way that her and Ariang were combining.
Yeah, I think the game plan when they were coming back into the circle, double playing on Shimona Nelson really confused the space, put a lot more pressure on Sophie Garvin to create some movement, get a better feed in. Kelsey was then stifled a little bit on some of her feeds. So I really liked seeing what Courtney was doing, the one-on-one action she was, changing her body angles, being able to get tip to ball. But also adding to Courtney and Sunday's defensive abilities, Jess Ansters out on those centre pass, really defensively shutting down and getting some great gains, which was helping Fever.
Well, it's the defence of the West Coast Fever that's creating some real havoc, isn't it, for the Magpies attack. We spoke in the opener the importance of how their confidence to go to Nelson was critical today. And Maddie, you even made the comment and said they're the only side in the league that haven't had to change their starting 7, and yet before the halfway mark, things haven't necessarily gone to plan, and the changes have been rung in by Nicole Richardson.
No, and we were wondering when we're going to see that goal shooter, change up with Garvin and obviously Nelson, but to be honest, it's obviously just as I said, they're just not being able to find that connection that they've had, and we've seen so dominant in the last couple of rounds. I'd love to see, obviously, the centre and wing attack in Brown and Jovic, or whether that's Brazel who stays in there, really dominating out the top and letting those circles get in and try and keep those defenders' heads turning. So, Brown at the front trying to generate it, but it's just not coming in that supporting role either.
So the Magpies with some work to do. Of course, they've got a masterclass in Nicole Richardson to lead them through that. Let's have a look at the match summary as it unfolds here at halftime. A couple of key things for you, Maddie, standing out.
Oh, huge. I mean, you look at that shooting accuracy, you're not going to win an SSN game sitting at 65%. It's even in the contact, seeing obviously double in that amount. Turnovers are still very even, but, you've got to stay in play with the Magpies. Those penalties so high. You want to generate that pressure. You want to try and get those gained possessions and then convert off it. But if you're out of play, you're not being able to get that hand on the ball.
Josie, game is never over until it's over. Give me a key point for the Magpies to work on as they go into this next 30.
Yeah, look, I think they've already made the changes, having Singleton and Garvin, within the goal shooter, goal attack. And I think this really just will come down to strategy. They need to be able to come up with something to combat Bruce, take her out of the game, stifle her ball flow, and really, I suppose, put those shots up confidently. We've seen in the first half that accuracy drop, but, they just need to continue going to post, exposing the one-on-one.
Maddie, neither side have won a fourth quarter. They'll both have that focus. Do they come back, the Magpies, or are West Coast Fever going to be too good here?
Oh, look, I think the Fever at the moment look way too strong for the Magpies. But, hey, we've got 30 minutes of netball to play, and we've seen that any team can come back, even if you're 11 goals down at three-quarter time. So I'm sure the Fever have been on notice with the last couple of obviously 1-point wins in round 1 and 2, but the Magpies, they have to start working together as a team. Even just looking at the difference in the change rooms, Fever up and about, a little bit of disconnect, some roll of the shoulders there in the Magpies. So stand up, come on, brush it off and come out strong and see what you can deliver in this second half of netball.
Well, we'll see in just a minute, but before we do, thanks to Suncorp, we've got a terrific competition for you to join, and it starts with this. Why is netball important to you, and what does the game mean to you? Suncorp would like you to submit your entry in 50 words or less, along with a video or an image of you and your club, and we want you to send it to foxsports.com.au/Suncorp, or you can scan the QR code for your chance to win a family membership to the Suncorp Super Netball Club of your choice in the 2024 season. So it's a pretty impressive competition, great prizes, and here's Zoe Garraway's entry. Netball, for her folks, isn't just about winning, it is everything that comes in between. Netball is her life, and without it, Zoe wouldn't be the person she is today. And what about the next entry we've got? This is Rosalind's entry showing how netball is important to her, because it is where she learned to do whatever she puts her mind to. So get your entries in and you can get yourself a membership in season 2024. Well, folks, a massive game to unfold. The Magpies with plenty of work to do. Can the Fever head to the top of the ladder in just 30 minutes' time? Don't go anywhere. We've got the second half right after this. Well, the Green Army getting into the action here at half-time at RAC Arena. Well, they're happy at the moment because their side, the West Coast Fever, leading 37-24 over the Collingwood Magpies. And straight into the action in the second half. There's a few changes that will be made, and we'll talk to those in just a moment. Or am I incorrect in saying there's a few changes that have been made, Maddie?
Oh, we saw them a little bit just before half-time, but it's great to see the Magpies have settled with this lineup, not gone back into the rooms and changed everything up again.
So a 19-11 second quarter score was the problem for the Magpies. Just couldn't get ball to circle edge. They took Nelson off, they brought Garvin on. And a couple of other changes, which one was Singleton, and that was just a miscommunication, wasn't it, between her and Brown. West Coast Fever go back to their starting line. Alice to the bench and Ariang back on. Bruce, yep, misconnected, or disconnected, should I say, with Verity Simmons. So Magpies need to have confidence early. Singleton right in front, rocks back, but the rebound goes to Garvin. And an important goal for the Magpies. See their confidence early.
Super important for Garvin to get under that ball and get that rebound. We've seen them miss but not follow their shot. So if they're going to miss, they need to make sure they've got that rebounding power as well, because it's happening too easy down this Fever attack end. Oh!
Well, there's the first miss for Gianneil Fowler in season 2023. You wonder whether she knows about her stats. I'm going to keep my eye to the back of screen here. Yeah, she is not a happy character with that miss. So 32 goals straight, and the first miss of the season comes her way. In the meantime, the Magpies, well, they should have done better with that, but they didn't. Sunday Ariang gets clean hands on an intercept. Jodie Ward looks for the contest. Fowler, she'll want to make sure that she amends that last goal, and she does.
One thing Fever has definitely done is they did their homework on the Magpies. They knew Ward was really impressive. They knew Kelsey Brown has been really dominant. And they've actually just isolated those two players a bit and shut down everything else around them. They can't do it on their own. So these other players need to get back into the game and start generating some of that extra momentum and flow.
Well, a privilege it is to have the Collingwood Magpies coach, Nick Richardson, join us. Richo, thanks for your time. A tough outing at the moment. Just talk me through the first 30 minutes from your perspective.
Yeah, the first 30 minutes wasn't the way we wanted to start it, that's for sure. And I think that's off our own back. We just had too many unforced errors, so we need to make sure we've got options in attack and keep possession of the ball. A simple game of keeping soft, Gordy.
Oh, if it was only that simple, mate.
Richo, you spoke about that disconnect a little bit in that attack, and we saw Nelson come to the bench. What are you hoping the moving circle is going to create out there?
Oh, well, our plan was to come in and try and create a mismatch with Sunday and Courtney, which, we weren't able to do in the first half. So maybe having a moving circle, we can try and sort that out a little bit better.
And what about in defence? To obviously get back in this game, you need some game ball. What strategies are you implementing to get some conversion on that?
Yeah, well, look, it's that fine line. We're going to look to try and play a hard one out in front, let them run through deep and try and get our back two to have a fly at it. So we may need to have a look to inject maybe Jackie Newton into that line up there.
Rich, I'm going to let you go back, but before you do, I just want to say congratulations on the way you conducted yourself throughout the week, mate. Impressive stuff. Well done.
Thanks, Gordy. Appreciate it.
So a bit of action unfolding during that interview. Ashley Brazel just hitting the floor and giving it a bit of a polish. 41-26. Great insight from Nicole Richardson, even to share with us the fact or the strategy of which they came into the game hoping it would work for them, and when it didn't, how they had to adjust.
Yeah, and we spoke about they hadn't made any changes, and they didn't need to in the first few rounds because it had been working. They'd been able to create those mismatches or those opportunities in attack. Oh, Jodie Ann Ward tries to stick a little hand in there, but this is the one thing that's not going the way of the Magpies. It's those loose balls. They're going out of court. Things aren't going their way.
So a short one from Glasgow, and well rebounded by Jodie Ann Ward, cleared the space for herself. And in 2 balls, they're down court. Big hands from Anstis though. But to no avail the second time. A high offload into Garvin and a good return through court for the Magpies. So blow for blow early in this third quarter. Brown, top of the circle. The space opens for Garvin. And the finish for Sophie Garvin, getting a 10 from 13.
We've also just seen injection of Molly Jovic back into the centre for the Magpies as Brazel goes to the bench. You see her talking with Coach Kate Upton, whether we'll see her back at wing defence.
Terrific grab from Fowler, under pressure from Mentor. That's been a great little battle to watch between the two absolute stars of our game, Shiva Mentor and Janelle Fowler. Oh, ball from Brown.
Brown to Garvin connection is really strong. We haven't seen it in that wing attack to goal shooter, but they're the ones that are going to bring Magpies back in, so it's great to see them starting the third quarter strongly.
East Coast Fever forced to go backwards. Kelsey Brown goes down, trips over a leg. Oh, good little coverage from Jovic. Forces the ball inside out is Janelle Fowler on that take. That looked uncomfortable. And it's her Jamaican teammate in Jodie Ann Ward that's caused the moment. It was a great little contest from Ward, though. I tell you what, you've got to be tough to play on a Suncorp Super netball court. Have a look. Harvey Norman replay.
Yeah, it's the band in that back. She obviously went up for two hands with the ball.
Got a feeling the massage bed might be in action, as was Sunday Ariang, and the ball kept in play. Foot goes out of court by the Magpies. And so the Fever trying to get moving. They've not been so fluent in this the last couple of times. That's better through court for them. Oh, Jodie Ann Ward again.
Here we go, back and up. That's what we've seen in round 1 and 2 from her. Much better.
She is a ball magnet, Ward.
Magpies have to convert off this. As we've said, they dominate usually the 10 minutes in the 1-point zone. They really need to get within inch, so then that pressure in the power 5 isn't too much on their shoulders.
3 rebounds, 3 intercepts, 2 deflections the way of Jodie Ann Ward, doing everything she can to keep the Magpies' hopes alive. And the West Coast Fever return at the other end. So in terms of third quarter score, we are goal for goal. So the Magpies trying just to keep in it. There you go, the breakdown. You can see the Fever dominating that first half. And the Magpies goal for goal. That won't be enough for them, though. They are going to have to find some turnover ball. And they're going to have to take some risk in super shot territory. Glasgow Fowler.
Instruction, arms before goalkeeper.
Arms before distance, the call on Mentor. Distance was good, just not the arms. Oh, ball, Garvin. Great space held on Ariang.
Really good play from Singleton, as I said, to keep Bruce out of the action, holding her nice and wide. And really good hold from Garvin to leave that space to actually move into on the baseline, not too close.
Yeah, but that's her strength, right? Like, she's athletic, she can move, but when she holds space, she can contend with anyone in the league. Asking that lady.
Great to see the goal-to-goal. Obviously, we're having a bit of a shootout here in that third quarter, but as you said, the Magpies need to get their hand on ball if they're actually going to get back into this contest. We look at, obviously, the total score over here for the shooters. Huge numbers there from Fowler. Nelson only 9, and that's probably that's way below what she obviously delivers.
Ellie Singleton has to step back again. This time it falls through the middle for the recruit for the Magpies. Her first look at a Suncorp court in season 2023. High ball over the top of Jackie Newton, who's rolled on now for Jiva Mentor.
Ward looking a little bit ginger there. I think she's just rolled an ankle as well.
Why this change? Why Mentor not doing enough?
I think she said she just wants to try and get some hands on some ball. Jackie Newton can fly out a little bit more. I thought Mentor was doing all right, but obviously they still need to try something. Would you put her out of goal defence?
I'd love to. I thought Mentor was doing a reasonable job. It's what's happening up in front. We'll come to that in a minute. HF tactical timeout. West Coast Fever.
When it's there. All right, bring your energy straight away, mate. Let's go. Really good. Keep that pass and cut and attack mentality. All right, and if there's a first, second ball to give, just take it straight away so we can keep it moving and punching. All right, no two. Mismatch in the circle now as Newton stays on. So side J nice and early. Just in our super shot period again, obviously big height advantage if Newton stays on. So maximise the mismatch, but have the aggressive mindset, then you make the call. All right, back it in. All right, hands in, guys. Okay, holding a goal-for-goal mentality here. All right, we know that they need super shots, so let's eliminate that from their game. If they end up taking a super shot, it has to be highly pressurised. Scoreboard pressure and attack with a bit of aggression out of Sasha. All right, let's go, guys. 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
What do you think of that, Maddie? Did you like that from Dan Ryan?
I did. I love how he says, be aggressive in what we're trying to, our approach, but also be mindful, make sure that we're not overusing it. They want to expose that mismatch, obviously, with Fowler on Newton.
So that change we spoke about, Jackie Newton on at goalkeeper, and Jiva Mentor, co-captain, sitting on the bench alongside the other co-captain in Ashley Brazel. Rarity to see that, and straight away the Fever get in amongst it. Teague Neal takes a collision from Singleton. Yep. Good call by the umpire. I felt that needed to be reset. Gee, Alice Teague Neal's taken 2 hits in as many balls. And then too much on that for Fowler, so impact from Newton.
Well, I think that's where that change has come. They want Newton to start flying out and obviously have that kind of like swing defence of goal defence and goalkeeper. So you see Ward come in flying back at there to try and get some of those tips.
Well, the return at the post for the Magpies was their centre pass. They take the goal just 30 seconds out from our Power 5, where I think beyond that moment, Glasgow, and Ward take a collision, so they'll sort this out. Let's set this up though. Magpies have to go super shot territory, but then Dan Ryan's saying to Sasha Glasgow, keep going at it as well. There's no defensive mechanism here for the Fever as we look at the Harvey Norman replay.
He just said, if the Magpies, they're being forced to have to do that 2-point shot. So if they have to, he wants it to be pressurised, obviously, in defence. But it's that, foot on the throttle mentality. He doesn't want to just win. He wants to win convincingly. And it's in times like these that Fever, obviously, they've let oppositions in the last 2 rounds come back in. So they want to push ahead.
Well, it'll be an intriguing 5 minutes to tactically watch as this third quarter unfolds. 39-40 from Fowler. If you've just joined us, she only just missed her first goal of the season. a little while back. Jess Anstis, there's the lady we speak of. Anstis and Brown, we spoke to both of them in the open and we knew it would be a big battle. I have a feeling Jess Anstis has been on top for the moment.
That's a better shot. I asked Singleton to do that in the second quarter. She needs to turn and shoot with confidence. Don't worry about the ball. Just get it and release it.
Well, right on the Power 5 siren it was, Mads. So Suncorp super shot dropping for the West Coast Fever now to respond. Oh dear. And Sasha Glasgow, well, when a coach builds you up to have confidence, why don't you run with it? 50-36 the scoreline. And a little tit for tat as Anstis gets a hand to ball around the circle edge. The crumbs to the Fever. And Kim Jenner now into the action. And a falcon to the face. She won't like that in the highlights reel.
Absolutely not. That feed from Garvin just too short to the pocket.
Magpies, Garvin wanting back space. Bruce has a look at it though. The swing, what does it open? Singleton, Garvin just drifts into the back space. Over the hand of Bruce again, it's to the right, the rebound. The tap of the hand from Singleton, so Fever here. And then the Falcon moment just after that, that should have been the highlight. That should be your Harvey Norman replay. That connection between Verity Simmons and Janelle Fowler today has been impressive.
It has, and it's been right from the very first whistle. She's had confidence to let it go. They obviously understand there is that mismatch in height. So keep seeing it, sighting it, releasing it. And this is the thing that's going to grind away at the Magpies. They're trying all these different things, but the Fever are just too strong and can respond quickly straight away.
So there's your Nissan net points, match leader Simmons. Well, we've just been talking about her. She's been good. Is this lady good from here? Glasgow will get another chance. So two Magpies out of play on the super shot, and Sasha Glasgow makes the most of the moment. Look at the smile on the face of the South Australian turned West Australian in Sasha Glasgow. Let's get straight down to Josie Jans-Dawson, Courtney Bruce.
Beautiful to watch this Fever defence. So my focus was really going to be on the Magpies attack and what their coaching direction was. As we get another amazing super shot by Sasha Glasgow. This Fever line are just humming together. But, you know, the focus, when you can see the Magpies get the ball down there attacking, really just a mismatch seems to be the word of the half. Nick Richardson must have said it about 100 times, saying, look for the mismatch, look for the mismatch. So it's unfortunate now that Magpies are forced into being, you know, their super shot zone for this last period of time, but Fever just unbeatable at the moment.
Well, there's plenty of excitement down this side of the court. The West Coast Fever winning this quarter now 19-12. There's been a couple of big moments for Sasha Glasgow. And even a smile on the face of Dan Ryan off that last Suncorp super shot.
And it's like with the Magpies, I feel like they're in the quicksand. When one thing goes wrong, then another, and it's just the harder you try, the harder it feels and the harder it even gets.
Maddie, I'm not going to give the Magpies an excuse, but how much do you think, in fairness, the emotion of last week and everything that went on with it could play into the hands of this game?
It just could have just been a tiding factor as we just see that first miss there, but it's, as I said, it's those loose ball pickups. But you hope that it hasn't, because I think they were very good at addressing it and then parking it and moving on. But it is quite exhausting to have to even have it talked about. People were talking about it up until Thursday, and you don't know whether those players are even copying it as well. So yeah, it's something that they would like to not have an excuse on, but maybe it has played a little bit of part in the energy and what they're being able to produce out here today, Sue.
Certainly not easy to come to Perth at the best of times, is it? They call it the fortress over here, the Green Army, loud and proud. 45 seconds on the clock. Jodie Ann Ward probably been the standout for the Magpies. Just keeps getting her hand in everything. Deflections 14-6.
The other thing about the Magpies, not once have we really seen them play as they've played in round 1 and 2. We saw really good role-playing positions from every single person on court, and you'd have to argue who has won their spot today. The Fever have just dominated all over the court.
So another one for the West Coast Fever with just 15 seconds on the clock. A run here for the Magpies, their centre pass. And they need some confidence. They're not prepared to release ball. Jovic, 6 seconds, 5. They need Garvin. They've been held up. She's going to have to shoot quickly. Garvin. Oh, gee, well, when there hasn't been much going right, they'll take that moment on the siren, and it even brings a smile to the coach's face. A Suncorp super shot for the Magpies, but they'll still go into the final break with enormous deficit to the Fever. 20 goals the difference, 15 minutes to play. You're watching Fox Netball live from Perth.
We're getting hands and tips the ball. When your luck's not going your way, it's not going your way. You know what I mean? But can we be more proactive and turn that around a little bit in that last quarter? Okay? Keep having a look long court, right? So if we lose the ball, work hard to deny them back to the middle, then slip in front. I reckon we might get our front lot to play a hard one-on-one and cut off and make them go long, and then we can have a fly at that ball. And I would play around with, keep mixing between your one-on-one, but play around with some boxes.
Well, quoted by Nicole Richardson, when it's not going your way, it's not going your way. But I want to set this up though. Both sides haven't won a fourth quarter so far this season. And you imagine inside both camps, Maddie, that the coaches, irrespective of scoreline, would be sitting there and saying, we've got to be better at the end of the game. Now, the Magpies might be down 20 here, but surely they wipe the scoreline clean and they go, let's get our business right. We've still got 15 minutes of netball to get confidence in ourselves and know that we're capable.
Absolutely. Yet we've seen wholesale changes all over the court. We've seen Nelson back, Garvin back. Obviously, Jovic to wing attack, Hinchliffe into the centre, Brazel back to wing defence. I would have thought you would have gone back to your starting 7 and gone, let's just wipe it, let's start, and let's take that, hopefully, momentum into next week if we can't get the win today.
Well, Nicole Richardson has featured today, hasn't she? Thanks to Origin Energy, our quarter-time huddles have been nothing short of brilliant. A coach under pressure, and she's been giving a superb, should I say, masterclass, but the results just not transferring onto the court. Shimona Nelson has had a red-hot look from the sideline. She'll get a chance to rectify things in her game.
We've even seen some changes in there for the Fever. Obviously, Jenna onto goal defence and Kosh into the goal attack position. I mean, we know what Sasha Glasgow can do, so is Dan Ryan just considering, well, you know what, let's just put it out there and see what else we can deliver on.
Yeah, Emma Kosh brings some real speed to the front line. Jess Ansis into the middle. Simmons takes a rest after probably her best performance so far this season. So the West Coast Fever,
Next to the keeper.
blessed with the depth of their bench. The Magpies being forced to use theirs today. And we're going to keep a really close eye on this final quarter score, Maddie. And of course, obviously, if the Magpies can get up early and bring it back, we'll get back on to the actual score. Well, there you go. Footwork call on Kosh. Well, you'd like to see the Magpies run to the ball here and get on with it. They're in their own shell at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, and even looking at it, there's not a lot of connection. They're kind of very isolated. Like, middle up. Let's go back to connecting with the person next to you. Have those 1-2 offers.
It's all about the fight, isn't it? And show some resilience right through to the end of the game. Lovely offload from Sophie Garvin. That release is kind of the highlights package of round 1 and 2.
It is, and credit to the Fever. They nullified that right from the beginning and made that disconnect between the confidence in letting the ball go and their ability to, because Bruce was just everywhere.
Well, there's a 3-ball play. So the Magpies have found some good rhythm early with a couple of the changing lines that they've worked with today's game. Fever now, Ansters, well, gee, out the circle goes Fowler, wants the release ball, gets it. Kosh, covered by Jodie Ann Ward. The speed between those two will be intriguing to watch.
It's that baseline drive, trying to sweep it through. But Fowler stands strong and delivers when she needs to.
Height of Hinchliffe used. Oh, Maddie Hinchliffe, that was lovely. That little offload, right hand around the side, offload into the space. Nice high release. Ansters, good strong drive, deep, finds Teague Neal. Fowler, just her eyes lit up, said, give it to me.
Keeper contact.
Janelle Fowler steps in for her 47th goal of the game. Just the one miss to her name. She'll probably have a sleepless night over it. Garvin, middle corridor. Well, once she lands there, you know she's going to Nelson, and it's worked for her on the 2 occasions so far. So Kim Jenner, some work to do. As Garvin lines up, offloads to Nelson. Sophie Garvin, 14 from 17 today. What she's done well at the post.
She has. It's obviously been her 2 points, which we were obviously crediting her for in round 1 and 2, but only sitting at 5 from 12 today. She's going to have to shoot a few more in this last quarter if there's any chance.
Yeah, she's been forced to take them, right? Kosh looks at the post for her first moment. Doesn't land it though, but the rebound there for Fowler. So the penalties just looking 34 to 54. The Magpies, as we mentioned, just a little bit wayward with those in round 2. So likely to see a bit of a tidy up if they can stay clean this last 10 minutes. There you go, it's Ward with 13. Expected though, she's been in everything.
Well, all teams know it's really hard to get any game ball off the Fever when you've got Janelle Fowler right underneath the post, but you've got to be in play to try and generate any pressure to try and get those turnover balls. So very ill-disciplined from obviously the Magpies today. They'd want to rectify that in this last quarter.
Oh, well, Courtney Bruce rectified her footwork around the back of Nelson. Gee, she's had a game today, hasn't she? 6 deflections, full of intercepts her way. And the Fever go, Teague Neald again. 2 solid opening games and another one. Sitting at 74.5 Nissan net points. Fowler. That'll take her over the 100 mark on Nissan net points. And leading on court. Simmons went to the bench on 98 Nissan net points in 3 quarters. Oh, what could have been.
I know. and you talk about, you know, Magpies being forced to make changes where Fever having the luxury. It's not something we've seen all day, obviously, Teague Neald to Fowler, but that ability to be able to make these changes seamlessly quite so for the Fever, even though they're 1 down in this quarter, but not losing anything. Bruce again in and amongst it.
Yeah, so no strength from Nelson in the take, and the umpire allowing the contest in the air. Courtney Bruce went in and followed through. So the Fever get the opportunity, should I say, here in attack. It's goal for goal in this final quarter. Neither side have won a 4th. Emma Kosh, quick offload. The crowd are cheering. They want Kosh to go to post. Janelle Fowler, after ringing up the half century, goes another.
It's that high pass. It's in the air where it can be contested. It either needs to be out in front or it needs to be a low one into the guts there to Nelson.
Jovi almost spent it before she'd earned it. Oh, Jenner has a look somewhere. In amongst it was Nelson.
Really seeing the contrast in obviously Jamaican style of shooters. We've got Shimona Nelson, quite casual on her approach today, I would say, compared to Janelle Fowler, that is literally ripping in every single pass and making sure that the Magpies defenders have no chance at intercepting.
Backwards, then Ansys comes up through the middle to connect. Down the line, out wide. Oh, gee, Kosh. Very rare ball. Kosh goes again. Well, she hasn't been on the court. She wants a bit of everything.
She wants to be everywhere.
She's got the energy, and why wouldn't you? This time, lines up and dribbles the ball from the front of the post into the middle. Emma Kosh slots her first goal for season 2023. Scoreline, again, just blow for blow. 20 goals the difference it was at the 3-quarter break. Fever just sneaking that out by 1. Garvin, flat-footed approach to the shot, and Bruce blisters. As to Fever, 3 balls down the court to Fowler. Oh, couldn't keep ball in play. The eyes lit up, didn't they, at the umpire, begging the question.
Bruce She is absolutely firing, even though it's the final quarter. She wants to finish this off strong. She knows her team have obviously faded out in the last couple of games. She wants to finish out strong. It's that aggressive mentality that we've heard from Coach Dan Ryan saying, be aggressive, but have the license, keep flying. Fever are here and they're ready to continue to dominate.
Yeah, not taking the foot off the throat is Dan Ryan, still up in the coach's box. And eye on his team. Just over 6 minutes to play out. It will sadly be a long trip home for the Magpies. But what I'm interested in is whether they just go hell for leather in the 5 minutes with the super shot. And we saw Garvin drop a beauty on the siren at three-quarter time, as was that from Emma Cott.
She's getting her eye in. She's only shooting the ones, but they're in the two-point zone.
Well, if she can carry that through for the Fever, you get the feeling Dan Ryan will give her licence to do that come power 5 time. 51 from 52, Janelle Fowler.
And we've heard from both coaches today. We've heard that license and, you know, the belief in their players to get the job done. What the difference has been is Fever's actually executed, where the Magpies haven't been actually able to obviously implement what the coaches have been asking consistently.
So 9-all it is as Dan Ryan calls a HCF tactical timeout for the West Coast Fever. So we're going blow for blow and we are just shy of power 5 time. What's he got to say?
Can I get the 4 attackers with me? Ned, take the defenders. Let's make sure between the 4 of us here in the last 6 or so minutes, we are really disciplined in what we're doing, all right? So I want you on lead out of the circle, then straight back to the post. So get your baseline cuts going in this one, all right? We can absolutely go for super shots, but we're not going to force and be ill-disciplined, all right? So just use each other. Same thing, eyes for sash all the time, and vice versa, shooter-to-shooter connection, all right? Bring in your punch and speed. Must get to circle edge, must get to circle edge, all right? Really important, all right? Really, really important, all right? Yeah. Remember, guys, too, if we need to work extra passes, take extra drives, I want to see that discipline to finish off this game, all right? Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, coming in, guys, everyone in, everyone in. Everyone in. Hands in, guys. Okay, we want a full team effort today. We want to demonstrate our depth. No matter what your role, get out there, do what you need to do for the team. Finish this off. Fever work rate, Fever discipline. Let's go.
What you doing?
Let's go.
All right, so it's Fever work rate, Fever discipline, and buckle yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. It's Fowler to the bench.
I know, but as we've mentioned, it's the luxury of this team. He even said, let's show the depth of this team. We've obviously even brought Alice on to goalkeeper and even Glasgow back. You've got Bruce and Fowler, Anstis on the bench, still giving that benefit and belief going, we can get the job done and we can continue to put the foot on the throttle.
Well, we saw Sasha Glasgow in at shooter at Team Girls Cup in the pre-season. Fever went on to win that as Ashley Brazel comes on and gets a hand to ball. So more of a moving circle. And if you're new to Sasha Glasgow, what I can tell you is goal shooter was her traditional role until she moved to the West Coast Fever and learned her craft as a goal attack, but now gets a shot to sit back and anchor the Fever home. Garvin, so a good centre pass play for the Magpies. And this is where everything gets interesting, folks, because it is power 5 time. And let's have a look and see how both sides attack this, because the Magpies have nothing to lose and the Fever have 2 super shot threats on. Glasgow goes back to the line. Simmons has come on to give some speed.
They've been really patient.
Glasgow. Well, gee. Oh, my goodness. When Fowler's not on the court, they need someone to rebound. How she got her hands to that, Sasha Glasgow. And now gets herself into range for another super shot, and the Suncorp ball drops down the middle. Oh, extraordinary.
Absolutely. As you said, it's that confidence in what they're delivering. Down the other end, Garvin, can she nail it?
Oh, and then at the other end, Garvin. See, this is exactly what the Magpies need to do. Throw caution to the wind.
We always find it interesting that these things start to eventually come into play when that pressure is off. Obviously, earlier in the game.
I love it. But I love it. You saw the Giants last week, 15 from 23 super shots against the Fever. As Glasgow goes another one. Suncorp super shots are reigning at RAC Arena. Glasgow, 6 from 11. Simmons leading the miss and net points, and she comes back onto the court, was at 98, just creeps up over the 3-digit mark to 102.
And no surprise there, all top 5 are Fever players with the scoreline the way that it is.
So
They've owned every single position over this court today from the very beginning.
Well, Garvin can own this super shot because she is on fire at the moment. So what one team does at one end, the other responds with. And goal score-wise in this final quarter, it is 15 apiece. Neither side winning a fourth so far this season.
Can she go again?
Don't get me wrong, but
Get
this
in
is
there!
unreal.
This is such good viewing. Love it.
Oh, gee. Face on Dan Ryan, extraordinary. Not the same on Nicole Richardson, but if Garvin, I was going to say, gets a hand to this and drops one, Nick Richardson deserves to smile.
As we've said, the Magpies, not through a lack of trying to do some different things, make some different changes, get back into the game, but Fever have just answered everything. As she goes, can she? Oh, no. Have another crack, Sophie Garvin.
Well, eventually, it falls to the West Coast Fever. But it's keeping the crowd unbelievably entertained here at RAC Arena. The scoreline, well, the Fever fans know what the outcome's going to be. But they are all eyes on the Suncorp super shot. Simmons through the middle, long ball to Glasgow, straight into super shot territory and a quick offload and a smart rope to the post for the Fever. Takes the single.
I'm disappointed.
Well, all eyes, as we said, on the quarter score. Fever now in front. Glasgow goes another one. Doesn't land. The Magpies throw in 76-53. 2 up this quarter by the Fever. If they win this, they'll take all 4 quarters this game.
It's what they've been striving for, that consistency over the 4 quarters. And they've used their entire team to get the job done today.
Ellis, the holding call. 2 recruits formerly from the Queensland Firebirds in Kim Jenner, Rudy Ellis, now in at the Fever. Oh, replay ball.
As I've said, it's been one thing after another for the Magpies. Luck has definitely not been on their side. They have not executed the game plan as they would have liked.
Wasn't the smile I was expecting from Richardson off a missed super shot, but we'll work with it. Simmons cut and drive, covered by, yeah, out the top.
Go again, go again.
You're loving it.
Yes.
So 50 seconds to trickle down here. It's certainly been the day for the West Coast Fever. Oh, well, Kosh, an opportunity, but she gives it to the lady with the hot hand. And Sasha Glasgow drops number 9 for the West Coast Fever in super shot territory. 30 seconds and another ball. Well, it's all about the West Coast Fever, isn't it? The reigning premiers.
The crowd are up and on their feet.
And another one goes to Sasha Glasgow. If that smile doesn't say it all, folks. The West Coast Fever hit 80 goals, and it is an attacking feast at the moment. 7 seconds on the clock. Emma Kosh to finish the day. It's not to be, but the West Coast Fever will take their 3rd victory of season 2023 in auspicious fashion. 80-53, and march their way to the top of the ladder. Oh boy, the Magpies, they will hurt, but the West Coast Fever, shoulders back, Maddie, the reigning premiers have put their foot down, haven't they?
Well, I think there was obviously talk about them only winning those first 2 matches by 1. Could they do it? Were they being a little bit complacent? Well, they've come out today and they've shown exactly why. They are contenders to go back-to-back because they were consistent, they scored some high numbers, but they were impressive all over the court in every single position.
Alrighty, let's get straight into the match summary because it's going to be all about the West Coast Fever. Their accuracy, their super shot prowess, just extraordinary with an 80-53 victory. Maddie, talk me through it.
Well, I mean, as we said, looking at the score here, it's the consistency through all of those gains, 21-9 to the Magpies. They just could not get their hand on the ball, the Magpies. You look at that time in possession, they owned it right from the beginning, the Fever. But it was a percentage in shooting. They shot from the 2-point, they shot from the 1-point. They were dominant absolutely everywhere. And you look at that Nissan net point, they absolutely pounded the Magpies all over.
A tough day at the Perth office for the Magpies, wasn't it? They go down today against the West Coast Fever by 27 goals.